It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm here today to break down my newest mock draft 4.0, my 2021 NFL mock draft 4.0 for 18 teams. The 2020 season is over, and it's time to fully embrace off-season mode. And for us at the Draft Network, there's nothing more critical than the NFL draft as far as building a sustainable winner. And so these teams have some big decisions to make. Let's walk through my latest scenario. Number one pick overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback from Clemson. There's no other options here. I know that Justin Fields outdueled him in the playoff game. Zach Wilson, the quarterback from BYU, has some buzz, but Trevor Lawrence is the number one pick. He gives you everything you're looking for in a franchise quarterback and a player that Jacksonville really can't afford to consider not drafting. He will give them really a dynamic quarterback for them to start their rebuild with, their new head coach and general manager. At number 2 overall, the New York Jets select Justin Fields, a quarterback from Ohio State. The Jets have a big decision to make here on what they're going to do with Sam Darnold. If they want to keep Sam Darnold and run it back and give him one more chance to prove himself as a franchise quarterback, then they need to move back and trade out of this pick. However, I think with Joe Douglas, the general manager, now having full control over this organization, he's going to want to wash his hands clean of everything from the past, going with Justin Fields, a high-level quarterback, a do-everything, dual-threat guy, big-time arm talent, has the size and mobility to be a dynamic player in the NFL. We've got a trade with the number 3 overall pick. The Miami Dolphins own the number 3 pick, but in my latest mock draft, I have the Carolina Panthers moving up from number 8 overall to number 3. The terms of the trade: Carolina receives number 3 overall from Miami, and the Dolphins acquire the number 8 overall pick, the number 72 overall pick, and a 2022 first-round pick from the Carolina Panthers. The parameters of this deal, they mirror the trade that the Buffalo Bills made with the Cleveland Browns back in 2014. The Bills moved from 9 to 4, and the Bills gave up a 1 and a 4, and, of course, the number 9 pick. So Carolina gives up a little bit more, right? They give up that third-round pick, but the parameters here are very similar. And for Carolina to move up here, I think what they have to do is they have to take advantage of this opportunity where they're in striking distance to go get their quarterback. And this team is very capable of being average next year, and when you're average, you're picking in the middle of the first round, you're not high. And with them owning number 8 pick, it puts them in striking distance to make a move up the order and solidify their quarterback of the future. Zach Wilson, the quarterback from BYU, he's a guy that has really emerged this year for BYU, has really fun arm talent. He's good off script. And when you think about the exciting young quarterbacks in the NFL, whether it's Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, these guys know how to move and play off script. You get that in Zach Wilson. Number 4 overall, the Atlanta Falcons. It's an interesting spot because I think Matt Ryan still has some good football left in him. But I went with Trey Lance, the quarterback from North Dakota State. And I really think Atlanta's the right spot for Trey Lance. And the reason is there's no stress to play him right away. Matt Ryan is more than capable of continuing to be the quarterback in Atlanta. But let's face it, his arm talent is diminishing and he's aging. And they're going to invest this pick in Lance, who only has 318 career passing attempts at the FCS level. And so the opportunity to get an exciting young quarterback that's not ready to play, but there's also no stress. There's no pressure to get him in the lineup sooner than he's ready because you already have Matt Ryan in the mix. Number 5 overall, the Cincinnati Bengals, going with offensive tackle Penei Sewell out of Oregon. This team made a calculated risk to go with the offensive line that it had blocking last year for Joe Burrow, and we saw his knee got shredded after taking hit after hit after hit. It's time for them to get serious about this offensive line. Penei Sewell, a high-level pass blocker that can be the left tackle. Jonah Williams can play guard or right tackle, and there's really no other options for Cincinnati. If Penei Sewell is on the board, they got to turn in the pick. Number 6 overall, Howie Roseman, Philadelphia Eagles, going with Micah Parsons, a linebacker. I know what you're thinking. Howie Roseman's not going to draft a linebacker. Well, I think it's time for Howie Roseman to evaluate his draft philosophies because it's not working. They need to get a linebacker. They've neglected this position. They've tried to get by with middling talent. They need a quarterback, an enforcer for that defense, and that's what they would get in Micah Parsons. Number 7 overall, the Detroit Lions, going with wide receiver Jamar Chase out of LSU. There's some big-time free agent decisions to make for this Detroit Lions team with their wide receiver position. Who knows if Kenny Golladay is going to be back? But even if he is, this is about maximizing what is left in the tank for Matthew Stafford to win in Detroit. Let's make sure he has a full complement of weapons. Jamar Chase is a do-everything receiver that profiles as an alpha number one guy in the NFL. Number 8 overall, the Miami Dolphins, they move down the order, and they still acquire a really dynamic wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa's former Crimson Tide teammate. This is the type of playmaker that Miami needs. They need guys that can separate. They need guys that can get down the field and win. They need guys that can create after the catch. Waddle can do all of those things, and he has built-in chemistry already with Tua. Number 9, the Denver Broncos, Caleb Farley, the cornerback from Virginia Tech. This is one of my favorite prospects in the entire draft class. He's still new to playing cornerback, but he is a polished player. He's got great size, length. He's good in all phases of coverage, whether that's zone, press, or man, and he has elite athleticism. If you're going to play in the AFC West, you got to stop Pat Mahomes, and you got to stop Justin Herbert. And having a corner, a true number one corner like Farley will help in those efforts. Number 10, the Dallas Cowboys, Patrick Surtain, the second cornerback from Alabama. Cowboys got to get better on defense. They're going to have to. And I think they need the most help in the secondary. Surtain is a ready-made guy. He can come in and start from day one. If you want to run press coverage, you want to run a lot of man. He's got ball skills. He's physical, and he's polished when it comes to coverage technique. Number 11, the New York Giants, KWITY PAYE, the edge rusher from Michigan. The Giants were better than maybe their record indicated this year. They got better throughout the course of the season, but I still think they need some answers on defense. They need help on offense as well. Obviously, that unit's not quite where they need to be, but they're in position here at number 11 to have their choice of edge rushers. And I think the best one, the most exciting one is PAYE, who is a ridiculous athlete, brings great size to the table, and he can help this New York Giants defense have something to fear off the edge for that defense. Number 12, the San Francisco 49ers, RASHAWN Slater, the offensive tackle from Northwestern. What are they going to do with Trent Williams in San Francisco? Well, even if they bring him back, they need help on the interior. RASHAWN Slater can fill either role. He can be the guy that replaces Trent Williams at left tackle, or he can be an immediate answer on the interior offensive line. I think making sure that they have the blockers up front to run this dynamic Kyle Shanahan offense is necessary. So Slater, a logical choice for the 49ers in this scenario. Number 13, the Los Angeles Chargers. They got a prize young quarterback in Justin Herbert. Got to get him a left tackle. They do just that with Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, who was just sensational this year. He's loose and fluid. He's got quick feet, long arms, really good mirroring and pass protection. But what I really love about Darrisaw is how good he is getting out in space and connecting with moving targets on the move. Really physical run blocker. I think he can finally provide the Chargers with a long-term answer at left tackle and get Sam Tevi out of the starting lineup finally. Number 14, the Minnesota Vikings. This team has really embraced a youth movement, right? They said goodbye to a lot of veterans, and they've really used a lot of their pieces to gain draft capital. A lot of rookies last year contributed to this team, and that's going to be the case again in 2021, where they have a ton of draft capital for the 2021 NFL draft. I think they need to use these early picks on high upside players at premium positions. And that's why Gregory Rousseau, the edge rusher from Miami, is my pick for the Vikings. They need help on this defensive line. And while Rousseau, maybe he isn't a finished product, he's got great length. He's got really nice athleticism. And if he can get the technical side of things down and get stronger, he can be an impact defensive lineman for the Minnesota Vikings. Number 15, New England Patriots, Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida. Think Darren Waller, and then just reincarnated in the form of Kyle Pitts. You think the New England offense couldn't use a guy like that? That's exactly what they need. Whether it's Cam Newton, Jarrett Stidham, somebody else, whoever's playing quarterback, he's going to have a whole lot more than what they surrounded Newton with this year. And Kyle Pitts can really be a difference maker and a matchup nightmare for opponents going up against this Patriots offense. Number 16, J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina. He's the pick for the Arizona Cardinals. You know, look, Patrick Peterson, he's a free agent. And I feel like for as long as Patrick Peterson's been there, we've been talking about them getting an answer opposite of Peterson. Well, now not only are they still searching for that answer opposite of Peterson, now it's finally time where they may have to replace him. I think they have to go cornerback. Horn is a player that I think is ready to step in and compete from day one. Physical, good in press, and I think he has the type of physical gifts that's going to allow the Cardinals to have a guy that can match up with opposing teams' number one receivers. Number 17, the Las Vegas Raiders. They invested heavily in some linebackers going into this year. They signed Corey Littleton. They signed Nick Kwiatkowski. They traded for Raekwon McMillan, and they're still searching for answers at linebackers. How about Jeremiah OWUSU-KORAMOAH, the linebacker from Notre Dame? He's a matchup linebacker. He can play sideline to sideline. He can play in man coverage against tight ends and running backs, and he can play downhill into the line of scrimmage. And I think the Raiders are going to need a matchup linebacker like this. Think about this division. Travis Kelce, Noah Fant, Hunter Henry, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Really dynamic young skill players at running back and tight end. OWUSU-KORAMOAH will give the Raiders somebody that can match up with those really good young weapons. The Miami Dolphins at number 18 overall, their second first-round pick. It's time to keep investing in skill players. Travis Etienne, the running back from Clemson. This Miami team needs speed. They need guys that can produce big plays. Tua is very much a facilitator, a guy that likes to spread the football around to all kinds of different weapons, and having a player like Etienne to get the football to out of the backfield that can create space for herself and really produce big chunks of offense would be very, very much a welcome addition to the Miami offense. Number 19, the Washington football team, Jalen Mayfield, offensive tackle from Michigan. Look, they rolled with Cornelius Lucas at left tackle this year, and I think that's something that they can upgrade. Obviously, the Trent Williams era is well behind us at this point, and they need to get an answer at left tackle. Obviously, they could go quarterback here, perhaps an offensive skill player, but I don't think any of that matters unless they can get the offensive line right. Jalen Mayfield, he's long, athletic, physical, and he really took a step forward in a limited amount of playing time this year when comparing his tape this year to the 2019 season. At number 20, the Chicago Bears, Devonta Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. Who knows if Allen Robinson is going to be back, but this Chicago Bears offense needs to find some consistency. They had some good moments down the stretch in 2020, but they're not where they need to be. And I think making sure that whoever's playing quarterback for this team in 2021 has reliable pass catchers is going to be critical. Smith is Alabama's all-time leading receiver, and he was the model of consistency for the Crimson Tide. I think he would be a welcomed addition to the Chicago offense. Number 21, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's their second first-round pick. They got Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall. Now it's time to make sure that he's got a left tackle, Samuel Cosmi, the offensive tackle from Texas. He's the pick in this scenario. They got to make sure that blind side for Trevor Lawrence is protected. Samuel Cosmi is long, athletic. He has the type of foot speed that's going to enable him to mirror pass rusher, and he can get out in space and connect with moving targets. So he's a do-everything left tackle that the Jaguars are going to need to support Trevor Lawrence. Number 22, the Indianapolis Colts, Eric Stokes, cornerback from Georgia, is the pick. Now, look, the Colts have gotten really good play this year from Xavier Rhodes, but he's not getting any younger, and I don't think you can count on him long-term. Stokes is loose. He's rangy. He's fluid. He's got ball skills. He can play in man. He can play in zone, and he's the type of cornerback that they're going to need to step in for Xavier Rhodes. Number 23, the Cleveland Browns, Daviyon Nixon, defensive tackle from Iowa. He may have been the biggest riser of any player in this entire draft class. We need some defensive tackles to emerge, and Nixon did that. You look at this Cleveland team, Larry Ogunjobi, he's going to be a free agent after the season. Sheldon Richardson, he's set to expire after 2021. This will make sure that their defensive tackle rotation is solidified beyond Ogunjobi and Richardson, should they not be able to retain them. The Tennessee Titans at number 24. It's very obvious this team needs pass rush. They tried. They went after Jadeveon Clowney. They brought in Vic Beasley. That stuff didn't work. They need to go back to the draft and hopefully get an answer. And how about Joseph Osai, the edge from Texas? Had a really good season this year, and he gives you length. He gives you that range. He can play stand up. He can rush with his hand in the dirt. And this Titans defense is multiple. And I think a hybrid defender like Osai will give them an answer opposite of Harold Landry. At number 25, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up. And this is a team with some challenging decisions to make when it comes to free agents. Several key players in their defensive front seven. Chris Godwin, the slot receiver, he's set to have an expiring contract. Who knows who they're going to be able to bring back, but one thing we do know, if they're going to maximize this window with Tom Brady and he comes back next year to be the starting quarterback, they got to make sure that the offensive line is taken care of. They can upgrade Alex Kappa at guard. They can potentially upgrade Donovan Smith at left tackle. Elijah Vera Tucker, the offensive lineman from USC, gives them an option that they can say, hey, let's get our best 5 blockers on the field, and Vera Tucker can play multiple positions to enable them to do that. He's good in space. He's physical. He's really technically refined, and I think he's one of those ready-made blockers, and you saw what this team was able to do with Tristan Wirfs and acclimating a rookie. This year, I think they can do it again by selecting Vera Tucker in the first round. Baltimore Ravens, number 26, going with wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr. from LSU. Think about what Lamar Jackson does well in the passing game. It's work the football to the middle of the field. Marshall is a guy who's fearless over the middle. He gives size and catch radius. And he's also good vertically, and he can create after the catch. If they want a big slot, Terrace Marshall would be a great pick. Number 27, the New York Jets. They're back up. Their second first-round pick. The choice, DERION KENDRICK, cornerback from Clemson. This team needs a lot of help in a lot of different spots, but you think about premium positions, right? When you have draft capital and a lot of needs, make sure that you're investing early picks on premium positions. Kendrick can give them an answer at cornerback. Right now, it looks like Bryce Hall could be an answer for them, but he's going to need a running mate. And Kendrick is a guy who is a converted wide receiver, a former 5-star recruit at wide receiver. He transitioned to cornerback in spring of 2019. He is stuck there, and he took a step forward in 2020. I think he has the profile of a starter and a really good player when it comes to ball skills. We talk about defensive backs. You want guys that can take away the football. Kendrick has really, really exciting ball skills. Number 28, the Pittsburgh Steelers, going with Liam Eichenberg, offensive tackle from Notre Dame. This team is about to hit reset. I know that they had a good regular season, but Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have much left in the tank. Tons of free agents that they have to deal with. And I think the most important thing they can do in this rebuild is making sure that the trenches are taken care of. They're going to need a new left tackle, perhaps even a new right tackle. Go ahead and get an answer here in Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. At number 29, the pick for the New Orleans Saints is KADARIUS Toney, wide receiver from Florida. There's a good chance we have seen the end of the Drew Brees era in New Orleans whenever their playoff run is over. And they don't have much flexibility, right? They're picking late in the first round. They don't have any cap space. In fact, they're well in the negative when it comes to cap space. And I think they're probably going to roll with Taysom Hill, who they're paying pretty handsomely next year. In order to get the most out of Taysom Hill, you're going to need to make sure that he's surrounded with weapons. Toney is really exciting because I think he can do everything. Whether you want to throw the ball down the field, you want to get him involved in the quick passing game and ask him to create after the catch, whether you want to get him going on jet motion and really stress defenses horizontally, he's the type of player that will help you get the most out of a Taysom Hill, and that's the pick for the New Orleans Saints. At number 30, the Buffalo Bills. This is a team with 3 big-time free agents. Starting linebacker Matt Milano, starting right tackle Darrell Williams, starting right guard John Feliciano. They're not going to be able to bring all 3 back. But when you're prioritizing who to bring back, you got to make sure you pick the ones that keep Josh Allen upright. So go to the defensive side of the football. Perhaps Matt Milano walks, and if he does, ZAVEN Collins, a linebacker from Tulsa, would be a great replacement. He's a guy that can play in coverage. He can play in space. He can play downhill, and he's a really, really good blitzer as well. Look, Milano's a great player for the Bills defense, but it would give them a versatile presence that can help replace what they could potentially lose in Matt Milano. Number 31, we've got another linebacker coming off the board. The Green Bay Packers select Nick Bolton, linebacker from Missouri. The Packers have a pretty complete team, but where there's a glaring hole, it's at linebacker, their off-ball linebacker. And I think Nick Bolton has really emerged. He plays with a lot of energy. He's sideline to sideline. He's physical downhill. He can play in coverage. And I think they can finally get that answer in the middle of their defense at linebacker that they've been needing for a few years now. And at number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs, Wyatt Davis, interior offensive lineman from Ohio State. They gave Patrick Mahomes all the money. They better make sure they protect him. Wyatt Davis is a technically refined, powerful, physical, athletic blocker that is a plug-and-play starter potentially at guard for the Chiefs. I appreciate you checking out this video. If you want to hear more of my analysis, be sure to follow me on Twitter. You can do so at @TheJoeMarino. If you like mock drafts, well, you've come to the right place. TheDraftNetwork.com features a new mock draft every single Monday, and we will keep those coming all off season long in the build-up to the 2021 NFL Draft. We have tons of great video content every day here at the Draft Network, so make sure that you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And most importantly, make sure that you are a TDN premium member where you have all kinds of premium features like trades in the mock draft machine. You can join our Slack channel where we have NFL draft diehards talking football all day long. You have exclusive content and an ad-free experience on the website. So check out thedraftnetwork.com and be sure to sign up for a premium membership.